Hello, loves. Hello, hello. Hills here from the Blue Flame. How are we all doing? Ooh, we are in the staging ground. We're kind of backstage in the planning spaces of the Planetary Parade as I'm recording this right now. We have just moved through the Venus star point, that moment when Venus passed through the heart of the sun, also known as a Kazemi, the Kazemi moment, that Venusian solar conjunction moment, and is beginning its journey as I'm speaking right now, passing through the center of Mars. It's sure, we'll say masculine counterpart. In many traditions, Venus and Mars are considered to be a couple. They are partners, and the earth in between them, their child. So we're going to play a little bit with this energy of the earth in between, the earth in between, because as we move towards the Libra Crone moon on the 10th of January, there is a major gravitational experience that the earth is coming into, and we're already starting to feel it. You may have even noticed it in your body or in your mental plane or in your emotional plane. This sense of being compressed and pulled, and the sense of the gravity of it all. There's a lot in the new year when we come into the turning of a page where we really feel the gravity of it all. We're looking at everywhere where we've been in the previous year, and we're sensing that anticipation, that expectations of what the new year will bring. And right in between the Cancer full moon and the Capricorn new moon, which is turning the page on the solar lunar calendar and bringing us from the wood snake to the fire horse, we're experiencing a gravitational anomaly, if you will. Before we get to this, let's talk very briefly. I spoke quite a bit about the Venus star point in the Cancer full moon update. So if you want to know more about that, you can check out that video. But there is an understanding, there is an experience that's occurring where during this particular Venus star point, which is the first of two, we'll have another one in October, which is rare-ish. It happens every couple of years that we get two Venus star points in one year. But we're also transitioning. Venus is that five-pointed star, right? One of the reasons we call it the Venus star is because from our earthly perspective, Venus seems to make a five-pointed star or a pentacle in the sky in its movements, always getting just a certain distance from the sun before coming back in and meeting once again. One of the expressions of Venus as magnetic can be felt through this constant returning, this yo-yo effect. Now, Venus is in a transition from morning star, that first bright light that hits us just before the sunrise, to evening star, which means that as the sun sets, Venus is going to start to be visible in that blue hour. Now, for most of 2025, Venus was a morning star and Mars was a red evening star, visible shortly after sunset, somewhere in there. kind of near-ish the sun. And the sun has been playing catch up to Mars all through 2025. And today, the 7th of January, meets. Venus meets Mars. Then on the 10th of January, as the Crone moon in Libra peaks, we find the sun passing through the heart of Mars, Mars reemerging shortly after the Capricorn full moon as morning star. So now, rather than Venus being the first star, that point of light that we'll see just before sunrise, it will be Mars. And this is a role reversal, a sort of role reversal between Venus and Mars. And we can feel this in the archetypal reset that this Venusian conjunction with Mars and the sun and all of these movements as we came into this new year of major shifting, where so many planets are shifting signs, many of them for good and all, right? We had in 2025 Saturn and Neptune and Uranus shift signs, but they returned to where they had been. In 2026, they will shift signs and they will stay. They will progress now into that new energy. At this same moment, on the 9th and 10th of January, as we're coming into the exactitude of the Libra Crone moon, we find a parade. I said we were in the staging grounds of the planetary parade as we move through all of these Venusian and Mars conjunctions. There is an alignment getting set up. We have the sun in the center. On one side, Venus, Mars, and Mercury. On the other side, the Earth and Jupiter. Now, on the 10th, as the Crone moon peaks, we will find the sun and Mars exactly conjunct at 20 degrees of Capricorn. So that movement on the other side of the sun from the Earth of Mercury, Venus, and Mars will have Mars exactly conjunct. Mercury will be at 13 degrees of Capricorn, which is where the Cancer full moon happened. By the time we get to the Capricorn new moon, Mars and Mercury will be exactly conjunct. This 13th degree of each sign is where we have experienced every full moon since about the Libra equinox. And we have one more coming before it shifts with the Virgo full moon total eclipse. This 13th degree is a degree of transition. It is a degree of transformation. The 4-year cycle that we're in right now, with the cycle of mastery, where we have a 10 and a 1, 11 and a 2, 12 and a 3, 13 and a 4, as the numerological breakdowns of each of these years. That final one before we switch to the Hierophant and the 5. The 13th tarot card is death. Now, death is transformation. It's the movement from one stage to the next. It speaks to the cycles, the cyclical nature of everything. So when we feel how the 13 astrologically speaks to moments of profound transformation, and we feel that the tarot card trump of 13 is the death card, and we feel how we are in this experience of shedding The calendar of the Gregorian era, that Western calendar, may have shifted us into 2026, but the solar lunar is still in the wood snake. We are still shedding. There is transformation and transfiguration occurring. So as we come to this Libra Crone moon, we are wizened. The Crone moon, that waxing moon on its way to the new, is shedding. It's also known as the shedding moon. We are clearing out all of the final pieces. Directly across the wheel from the Sun and Mars, at 20 degrees of Cancer, we find Jupiter. Now, on the 9th of January, we'll have Jupiter at its closest distance from the Earth in its orbital cycle, with the Earth in between Jupiter, the largest planet in the solar system, and the Sun, the gravity of it all. If you've ever walked through a wind tunnel, two skyscrapers, and felt that enormity and the wind and the pressure of that, you can have a bit of an idea. Or between two mountains and you're in a valley, the Earth is in this great solar system valley during this moment, with the moon forming a T-square at that half at 20 degrees of Libra. So we're in this cardinal churning. One of the ways that it feels to me is like the pressure that creates the diamond. The pressure that creates the diamond. We are being pulled in two different directions by this enormous amount of gravity. And we are being asked to find our center in it. And this is coming into greater connection with our ability to hold our light in extreme pressure. As the density falls away, now maybe you can start to feel why we call it diamond consciousness, this Christ consciousness, because the amount of pressure that we're asked to withstand. When we're on the earth, we're in a gravity well, right? We're in a gravity well. So within this atmospheric gravity well, we are being moved between the largest planet in the solar system and the sun. Now, interestingly, from an astrophysics standpoint, there are two planets that when they have particular alignments with the sun, tend to find much solar flare action. Jupiter and Venus are them. Now, we know that the moon affects the tides of the earth, right? The tectonic plates. The moon is small. The moon is small. Imagine, if you can, and you probably already feel it in your physical system, the influence, the gravitational influence, which is what the moon is doing with the tides, of the Earth passing between Jupiter and the sun at the same moment of the half moon. this T-square occurrence with Mercury, Venus, Mars, all lined up on the other side. I mentioned that they have done scientific studies, and Jupiter and Venus, when they have certain alignments, the solar activity heightens. It is more present. Flares tend to kick off a bit more. Conjunctions with Venus are one of these. Oppositions to Venus, oppositions to Jupiter is another one. That moment, and feel the earth kind of inviting, enticing, and there's that Venusian energy, that magnetic energy, the earth enticing more light. So we could see some pretty immense tectonic movements. Now, this does not mean there's necessarily going to be an earthquake, though there could be. But it could also be, rather than a physical shaking of the ground, more like a political or societal earthquake, a moment of aha, transformation, as we shake off the final bits of skin, that old skin, as we prepare to step into the era of the fire horse, into the Aquarian age, into the new earth, all the words, right? Into more diamond consciousness. So, we talked about a bunch of different things in this update. If you're curious about more of the movements, planetary movements of 2026, as I shared in the Cancer full moon update, there will be a link below to experience a transmission activation. It's totally free, where we move through a lot of the shifting energies of 2026, and at the culmination point, receive an activation to our light bodies. If it calls to explore, to dive deeper in the inner sanctum for the Cancer full moon, a transmission of Vega, which was conjunct all of these movements at 15 degrees of Capricorn. Working with Sirius, the dog star, which the moon was conjunct with that Cancer full moon. And a third energy birthed from that, and an inner ear activation was facilitated for us as part of our Violet Blue Flame remote healing. There's links below for the Blue Flame Apothecary, the community, and the Inner Sanctum members portal. We could also work one-on-one if that calls to you. Know that I'll never reach out to you personally to facilitate a one-on-one, unless we're already working together, of course. But I won't just cold call you and say, hey, would you like to work together? But if it calls to you, you're more than welcome to come on over to the website and request a consult, all of the things. There's so much movement in this new that's birthing, and there's so much pressure to get it right. Like I said, oh, the gravity of it all. The inner ear also works with the gravity of it all and linearity. This is why vertigo, earthquakes, finding that center point. I feel if there's another piece that wants to drop in here. During the Crone moon, Chiron, which is now moving direct, will be almost exactly squaring with Venus. And Eris will It's kind of fun actually. Chiron is at 22 of Aries. Eris, chaotic creation, the goddess of discord, the apple thrower. Still retrograde is at 24. Venus will be at 23 of Capricorn, so kind of riding in between them, helping us to feel how we maybe called in that which did not serve us because of old patterns or old beliefs of what we actually deserved. And to, with all of this shedding, with that wizened crone energy, to let that shit go. Let me feel. I think that's where we end. In our community space, I will also be bringing through an oracle transmission for the Libra Crone moon. I always draw some cards for the half moons. So stay tuned for that if it calls. Links below for everything. Please let me know how this new year is turning for you. Let me know if you're feeling, how you're experiencing this gravity of it all in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, in the always, so much and many loves to you from the dimensions of the all and beyond the beyond.